Welcome, everyone, to another awesome episode of Rock Talk with DocRocker. I am Jeff Bonomo, joined once again in the Zoomiverse with DocRocker himself, Dan Merlano. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Jeff. How was your week?
My week was pretty good. I was in Atlantic City for a few days. Actually got recognized, not for this, though. I got recognized by somebody in the Tropicana for the TV show I produced, the Wine Hops and Road Stops TV show on WYLN. So that was kind of fun. I lost a lot of money, ate a lot of food, drank a lot of beer. So now I'm here to talk about music. And the first thing I do have to say is happy belated birthday to our podcast, which turns 1 year old.
Yes.
Well, turned 1 year old. September 4th was our first upload.
4th
yes.
has got to be a lucky number for me because the 4th of January is my birthday. The 4th of September is when the podcast was launched. It's one of those things, when it was birthed, we didn't really think it would really take off. And here we are a year later, doing it almost every week and reviewing albums and getting all kinds of incredible special guests. The last couple of weeks we've had for some new episodes have been really, really fun. And we have more planned for the fall and winter season. So I'm really excited. I can't believe it's already been a whole year of Rock Talk. And that must mean we're almost nearing a year of Teacher Talk as well. The other podcast that we do that's kind of on hold for right now. We've been more focused on the Rock Talk bit, but there is going to be more Teacher Talk content coming in the future. So thank you all for tuning in to the podcast and partaking in the conversation. We're getting so much awesome engagement from people on our Facebook groups and people that are watching our videos and liking our content. So it makes me really happy to see that people are enjoying what we're producing here. That's really great.
And this kind of was born out of boredom.
Did we ever talk about the story about how the podcast was birthed? I don't know if we ever actually disclosed that to our audience.
We may have mentioned it briefly. I'm really not sure. You could tell the story. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, right in the heart of the pandemic, summer of 2020, my middle brother Adam got married, and we all got the whole family together for a nice, in lieu of a proper bachelor party. We just did a nice kind of open family cookout at my mom's place, at which Jeff and I were, and there was lots of drinking and lots of eating and lots of campfires and lots of songs and lots of discussions, and it was the wee hours of the morning, and we're sitting around the fire. Funny enough, thanks to alcohol, I honestly don't remember the conversation, but apparently Jeff and I had a good long talk. We were talking about like rock and metal and Dio and Maiden and all of our favorite stuff, and apparently Jeff pitched we should totally just hook up on Zoom and start doing a podcast where we just record our conversations, and that could be a lot of fun. And apparently I agreed to it. It was so funny for me waking up the next day and seeing the text from Jeff saying, oh, great talk last night, I'm really excited, let me know if you really want to do this podcast thing. And I'm sitting here thinking, wait, what? Podcast?
Well, that was the end of July. Yeah, that was the end of July. So
right. So August was the wedding. Yeah. And we kind of brainstormed some ideas. Yeah. And then we launched it by September. We did our little test episode where we did some random bits and we talked a little bit about Dio. And then sure enough, Jeff did all the legwork and launched the channel and got everything going and put the first video up within the day. So, and then it was like, all right, hell yeah, let's just do this. It'll be a lot of fun. So
yeah. And it really came from that discussion we had, because me and you were geeking out about metal. We're just sitting next to each other, drinking, geeking out about metal, and everyone else is talking about who knows what. And like me and you were talking about Sabbath and how great Dio is, and the difference between Sabbath and Ozzy, and I probably even mentioned Tony Martin gets no love, and we're just talking like a bunch of metal nerds. And I was like, oh man, I should just record this. I was at the point, I was like, I should just put my camera right here, turn on my cell phone and just talk into it and then upload it, because it was such a great conversation we had that night. So I was like, we got to continue this. We got to do this more.
Because I don't, but we like to have fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, you had a little bit to drink that night.
Yeah, well, your younger brother was spiking some of my beverages. I think there was something going around. Some hard stuff was going around at the end of the night after most of the beer was tapped. And at that point, I was, just loose and limber, like, yeah, whatever, I'll just drink whatever. And there we were. It was incredibly fun. Pretty much the
What?
same thing happened. Yeah, and the wedding was pretty much a repeat of all that. All of us, sweating our asses off in the summer heat and just exhausting our booze supplies and just having a lot of fun. We like to have fun. And I'm really glad that we're documenting our fun. And now I'm glad that we have this wonderful community that's now sharing in the fun. That's really, really great. So
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about next. I think we're going to go down and talk about some of the stuff that's been popping up on the Rock Talk with DocRocker Facebook group over
yes,
last
it
week.
is about time we catch up on what's been going on the page. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of stuff going on. You've been posting a lot of stuff. I posted a couple things. A lot of our friends and fans are posting things too. So yeah.
So let's start with this. Let's start with Smash Mouth.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Smash Mouth has been trolling Rolling Stone magazine / website for the exclusion of their song All Star from the 500 greatest songs list that they posted. Okay, somebody posted this on our page, so I might as well talk about it. I don't like All Star. I don't like that song at all. Hopefully, I'm playing a wedding next week, and we have to play the song for the wedding because it's like the bride's favorite song. It's a terrible song. It really is. We had it in the band set list for a while, and it sucked, and so we dropped it. So now we had to relearn it. I hope she doesn't watch this before we actually do the wedding next week. It's a terrible song.
You going on the box about how much you hate it. That's funny.
I can understand Rolling Stone not including it, but you know what? I had to go and look at their list of 500 best songs of all time. I didn't look through all 500 because I just don't have time, or do I care about Rolling Stone and what they say? But I was interested in seeing what the number one song they say the number one song of all time is. Could you even guess what the number one song would be?
I almost don't want to guess. I'm kind of sick to my stomach at the thought. What is it?
It's actually not bad. It's actually not bad. I thought it was gonna be a lot worse than this. It is Aretha Franklin's Respect.
Oh, that is a fantastic candidate for a number one song. Okay.
Yeah.
I was expecting some like garbage like Freebird or something.
No, but the second one, the number two song, is Fight the Power by Public Enemy.
Okay. Another choice I would not have expected.
No, but I don't think that would be number two. But number three, Sam Cooke, A Change Is Gonna Come. Not bad.
Okay, yeah.
Number four is Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone. There's a lot better Bob Dylan songs than that, but it says Rolling Stone. They're Rolling Stone magazine. I get it, whatever. Number five, and this is as far as I'm going to go. Number five is the first time a real rock song shows up. Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit from 1990.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Number five, whatever. It's Rolling Stone. I really don't care. I'm glad All Star was not in there, but and like I said, I'll repeat myself again. I think Respect. It's a contender for number one. Sure, that's a great song. You know,
Definitely
written by the great Otis Redding.
Top 10.
Absolutely. If you're gonna go like the entire genre of like rock and pop music, yeah, that I could see that. Great song.
Yeah, totally.
All Star is not.
See, as a '90s kid, I could kind of see where Smash Mouth is coming from. Like, it's not. I'm not gonna ever try to say that it's a good song, but come to think of it, I think it kind of is. With the overall writings, and this is one, coming from a guy who normally doesn't care at all about lyrics. I think the lyrics in that song are really clever and they're really catchy. And it's one of those songs that, like, when you play this at any like bar or wedding or party, like everyone in the audience is going to know all of the words and sing along. And it's one of those, it's a great like party song for let's do something that feels good and let's, world's on fire. How about yours? Like some of that stuff is just really cheeky and it's lighthearted. And it's, I've always I'm not like a Smash Mouth fan, but like when that song like really hit it and it was really big and it was in Shrek and it was like 10-year-old me heard it at every friggin' birthday party and it kind of grew on me over. So there's definitely a decent amount of nostalgia playing into my assessment here of it, but like, I'm not going to say it's one of like the top 100 greatest songs of all time, but the fact that it's not even in the top 500 actually kind of surprises me. And I'm kind of on Smash Mouth's side here that it should be on the list, at least somewhere, even if it's on the bottom. It should be present,
Let's see what is number 500.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Kanye West, Stronger is number 500. You know what? All Star should go there. Yeah, you're right.
Well, we all know that Kanye is a creative genius, and there's no other way to say it. Did we ever talk about that post? There was this really cool poster. I saw it on Facebook forever ago, and it has Jimi Hendrix on the top, and it has a quote by him. It's got a picture of his face, and it's got a quote, and it's like, I honestly don't like receiving compliments and admiration from my fans. I find that they just get in the way and distract me. And then right underneath that, it has Kanye, and his quote, "I'm a creative genius. There's no other way to say it." And I'm like, that is the perfect perfect display of what Kanye is and what his music represents. And the fact that he's at the bottom just kind of makes me laugh. But Kanye over Smash Mouth? Really? No. No way.
I think we did mention that on the podcast early on, that Jimi Hendrix quote.
I talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite quotes. I should memorize what it actually says. It's something like that. I didn't say it verbatim. The Kanye quote I could say verbatim, but the Hendrix one I don't remember. I'm gonna look it up while we talk.
There you go. Next up, yes. I definitely want to mention the new song and video by Spirit Box, "Circle With Me." Did you hear that yet?
No.
That's really good stuff. Your brother Adam introduced me to Spirit Box a couple of weeks ago. I've never heard them before. They're really, really cool. And the chorus of this song is just like, it's killer. Really good stuff. Somebody posted on the Rock Talk board the video, so you can check it out there. And across the board, everyone's saying it's great. And
yeah, our buddy Alex has incredible taste in music. He's just like Adam. They're both into a lot of the same kind of stuff, and everything that they spill onto the page is just gold. So I saw the post, but for whatever reason, I must have been traveling or something, because I didn't actually stop and look at the song and listen to it yet. But I will.
It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. Now, I haven't heard the whole album yet, but I've been told like there's not one throwaway track on the entire album. It's really good. And I've heard some of the stuff by this band, like I said, a couple of weeks ago. Adam turned me on to it, and it's some really good stuff. And this song seems to be even a step up for them, like as far as like it being like it's just a cool song. Really catchy chorus. So there you go. Awesome. There's some new music for everyone. Spirit Box.
Speaking of new music, right next to that, we have another post from our friend Chris Danicola, who posted the Rivers of Nile, I think is how you pronounce it. And it's called The Silent Life. Let's see what Chris says. Just discovered these guys on YouTube not too long ago. Just a mesmerizing song with great chunky riffs, awesome solos, and astoundingly saxophone during the bridge, which is really interesting, hearing sax in a metal band. That actually brings up something I wanted to talk about. We're going to definitely I talked to a close friend of mine and fellow teacher with the DocRocker team, Zach, who is a sax player in a death metal band called Burial in the Sky, and they just put an album out back in the summer. I want to say like the first or second week of August they dropped it, and it's really, really cool. And I've been talking with Zach. I'd like to try and get an episode where we could have him come on and talk about what that whole thing is like, playing sax in a death metal band. And it's really, really cool stuff. And I'd love to have a little chat about that whole album and kind of get some promotion going out for those guys, because it's really, really remarkable work. And I'm guessing if, just judging from the artwork, looking at the Silent Life, I'm thinking it's gonna somewhere fall along that vein, even if it's very different. So I'm definitely
I didn't listen to this.
Check that one out.
But the way the band logo is, I can't read the band logo, so it must be black metal or something.
Right, exactly. So it's automatically good for me.
I do like when music like that, there's like a juxtaposition of a strange instrument, like you said, saxophone in black metal or death metal, like your friends band. I saw the one video, I think you posted it when it first came out.
Yeah, I've been sharing all their stuff left and right. I love it.
In the middle of the song, there's a sax solo.
And it's beautiful. And it's a cool contrast to like the dark, really aggressive stuff. Yeah, it's perfectly placed.
It was really interesting stuff. Now that isn't like, I don't want to say it's not particularly new to do something like that. I'm going back to the early 90s. The band Death Angel actually changed their name to I want to say it was the Organization, and they did like a grungier kind of album, and they did some really weird instrumentation on that album. I think they were called, I think it was called the Organization. I could be wrong, but they did change their name. They changed their style in the 90s because they thought the name Death Angel pigeonholed them. Well, they reunited in the 2000s, and they're doing great. They have some really, really good albums that are newer. But anyway, like, they put some weird instruments into their music back then. Sax has been in these like thrashy bands for a while, like here and there. There's a couple other ones I could think of. I think Amorphous did something with a saxophone or something similar, some brass instrument, and a couple of they're more of like a gothic metal band. They're good too, but every time a saxophone pops up in a metal song, I'm always pretty interested, you know?
Yeah,
so
same. Just the sheer novelty of it alone. As a music educator, someone who explores multiple instruments, and has always had an interest in learning stuff besides the piano and the guitar, I always appreciate when something really off the wall kind of comes in like that. That's why I've always got so turned on right away to stuff like Corpiclani, where like here's a metal band that has an accordion and a Irish tin whistle and like 500 other instruments that do not belong in a metal band, and they do it so effective. I mean, that's a little different because it's specifically folk metal, but you know, you get the idea. Like just that whole idea of just all like any instrument could do metal, and that's what I love about this whole kind of, you know, like the way I look. Like for me, like all music is just, it's rock, you know. I was always the butt of some humor, like especially doing like classical training in college, because like, you know, some kid would like play like this beautiful like Beethoven sonata or Chopin nocturne or something. I'd be like, oh, that just slapped so hard, man, awesome, you know, and like talking about it like it's a rock concert. And all these classical folks were like, what the hell is this guy on, man? Like, I don't get it. But like for me, it's all just music, you know. It's all just really, really cool stuff, and it's all rock. But yeah, so you can put a violin in a death metal band. You could put a saxophone in a black metal. Like, why not? Just go for it, man. So for all you creatives out there, do it. We all want it.
Without even like knowing like what the label would be called, you know, like. Yeah. I didn't know folk metal was a thing, and I remember, you know, last week when we interviewed Evil G from MetalRules.com, I was just like, okay, they have a fiddle player in a metal band. Okay, it sounds good. Yeah. I didn't know there was an actual name for it, you know, or there's an accordion, you know, in the middle of this crazy thrash song. Okay, it's different, it's weird, you know. I didn't know there was a name, you know, and so, you know. Whatever, there's no rules, you know. That's how I look at it, you know. Like they want to name it something, you have to have some kind of subgenre, but
yeah, not always.
I don't. There's no rules. I mean, really, I mean, you know, talking about our favorite band, Iron Maiden, like they, in this new one especially, and the new stuff. I want to say it's a lot of Yannick Gears that brings it to it, the whole like kind of Celtic-y vibe. You know, they've always had a little bit of that, but yeah, like
definitely more so on the more recent albums. You're totally right. Like, yeah, I want to say like it's most noticeable starting with Brave New World, like right when that whole like Reformation period starts. Like you get like stuff like Blood Brothers that has like a little bit of that sort of Celtic flair.
Yeah,
to it.
and
I've always thought it was a great part of their sound too, and it's really cool to see them carrying that on the newest records too. And and that like if you ask any like 80s Maiden fan, you know, their thoughts on keyboards in metal, it's like, no, you can't have keyboards. People could literally quote Bruce Dickinson himself, like, oh, you can't have keyboards in a metal band. It'll just never happen. And then you look at stuff like Empire of the Clouds, the closing track of Book of Souls, that starts with Bruce Dickinson himself on the piano. It's like, well,
there you go.
30 years changes a lot of things. So it's cool. So anything goes, really. You could put keyboards in Maiden now. You could put accordions and saxophones and anything you want, and I love that so much, especially as an accordion player.
Absolutely, I do too. I like when you know things are kind of knocked on their head a little bit. We'll say.
Yeah. Challenge the norm.
The next thing I want to mention definitely is Jeff Becerra, I believe you pronounce his last name, the lead singer of the death metal band Possessed. Now, about 30 years ago, he was shot twice while buying a pack of cigarettes, and he's been paralyzed from the waist down ever since. He uploaded a video the other day to the band Possessed's Instagram and TikTok pages, and he explained and he showed on the video he was able to walk again for the first time in 30 years with the help of what he calls robotic legs. And yeah, he's been fronting the band. He went back and played with the band again. I guess he just would sing on stage in a wheelchair, but yeah, he was paralyzed. Yeah, I guess about 30 years ago or so.
That's what the headline says. Walks for the first time in over 30 years.
Yeah, so
that's from Bill
good
Lecter
for him
posted that last
that
week.
he's able to do that, because that's horrible
awesome.
thing to happen. I read up on his story. I'm not a huge Possessed fan. I don't really know much about him, but I read up on the story. Just a horrible thing. He was working his day job in construction. He went to like a convenient mart to buy a pack of cigarettes, and he claims he must have, like, when he pulled out his money, flashed $100 bill because two shady people followed him out of the convenience store and shot him twice and robbed him for, probably like $100 or whatever.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
But good for him that he's able to walk again. It's another small step, in this, but
yeah,
he never gave up.
Small step can be a giant step,
Yeah, and it also goes to it's that whole creed of metal. You never give up. Something bad like that happened to you, adapt and you go forward, because he's still been singing, he's still been making music. Just in his wheelchair, but now he's able to.
You don't need your legs to sing. That's very empowering.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's always hope.
Cool.
Now let's move on to Metallica now.
Okay.
Metallica released their black box set or whatever it's called. I don't even know what the hell it's called. Like all this reimagining of all the songs on the Black Album by a bunch of different musicians. Some of them I know, some of them I don't. Now this one wasn't on the album, but it was posted 3 times in the last week on our Facebook group. The funky version of Enter Sandman.
I was gonna say I thought that was what you were gonna refer to originally, because that was the first thing I saw scrolling down too from my brother.
Yeah, North 41. Yeah, he posted it. Billy Letcher posted it, and somebody else posted it.
Yeah, Saggy Balzac. Best name ever.
I bet you don't know that's not his real name, huh?
Oh yeah, I gathered that much.
So I got to talk about this. This was posted 3 times. I think it's great. I think it's
really awesome. It's so well done. It's disgusting. I love it.
and another thing that was posted by somebody was the band Ghost covering Enter Sandman. And
oh yeah.
And this is how I'm gonna describe it, just like my brother-in-law described it. It sounds like someone described Enter Sandman to Blue Oyster Cult, then asked them to play it without ever actually hearing it, and that's kind of what it sounds like.
I actually didn't listen to it, so it's not like a super faithful remake.
It sounds like, I guess it sounds like, yeah. Ghost reminds me a lot of Blue Oyster Cult. So it kind of sounds like, someone explains it to Blue Oyster Cult, and then here play it. It's okay. It sounds like Ghost. It sounds like Ghost trying to play Enter Sandman. It's okay.
I just totally passed on it when I saw that post. I was like, Enter Sandman's been done to death, and I'm sure it's cool or whatever. Ghost is cool. Yeah, I've never been a big Ghost fan. I mean, I saw them open for Maiden a couple years ago and was like, these guys are really different and really cool, but I never got hooked on them like some of my friends have. They're like, oh, Ghost is awesome, best band ever. I'm like, I just don't see it. But then again, that's just grumpy old man me, like, I'm gonna listen to Maiden because I love those guys.
They're okay. A lot of people I'm reading here, some people don't really like the cover. Some people do, so it's like Ghost made it their own. I like it. And someone says it to the Backstreet Boys of black metal.
That's a little too harsh. I wouldn't go that far.
Not sure about that, but
I'm not sure about that either.
It's okay. It's an okay cover. It sounds like what I would expect. That's all I got to say about that.
See, I'm not sure I'll like it. If I'm curious enough one night this week, I'll probably check it out, but I'm not so sure. There's too much other incredible stuff to listen to,
Yeah. Enter Sandman's Enter Sandman. Everyone does Enter Sandman. I mean, Jesus. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I mean, it's a great song. I really like it when I
it's
hear
the
it. But
Mustang Sally of heavy
yeah,
metal.
yeah, there's always the piece of me that kind of like eye rolls a little bit when I hear the first couple notes on the guitar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a really awesome riff though, so I can't really
Sure. But
you know.
I would like to see Ghost do something, like obscure by Metallica or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
Take something from like way back when and reimagine it, like Creeping Death or something. That may be kind of cool. I don't know.
Mhm.
Next up, I want to mention Faith No More, Mr. Bungle have canceled their 2021 tour dates. Now, Faith No More and Mr. Bungle both have the same lead vocalist, Mike Patton.
Yeah, it was for mental health reasons, wasn't it?
Yeah, he explained
He was just taking a mental health break.
Just suffering from issues that were exacerbated by the pandemic. He just can't seem to get himself out there. So, and Mike Patton is a very talented guy, man. And I hope he can get himself better and get himself some help if he needs to.
Yeah, well, all the respect to him for having the courage to do that, because it's so easy to write off mental health things. I'm relieved to hear that it's not something physical, like, because of course, when something like that gets canceled, the first thing you think of is COVID. All right, no, don't tell me he got COVID and now he's really sick.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that that's not the case. But nonetheless, it's you definitely want to take mental health very, very seriously. So I'm glad he had the gall to do it and say, you know what, I'm just going to take this time off, and I know it's going to disappoint a lot of fans or whatever, but if that means that we get him for 10 or 15 more years, instead of him fighting through and trying to just perform and overperform and, run himself out, that, it could be a way worse than the alternative.
Yeah.
So,
or God forbid something, he takes, his own life or something.
Well, that's like, what I was kind of beating around the bush. I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
Oh no, yeah. That's where it could head. If he doesn't, get himself.
Yeah, I'd rather him cancel a year and then we get him for 10 more.
Yeah, because I'm like Mike. If you have ever watched Mike Patton perform, sometimes he may not be in the right headspace or in some other headspace. It's probably very touchy. With things, just because he's such a creative force, and a lot of times these people who are overly creative, there is a little bit of that, something going on inside here. I don't know if that's good or bad that makes them so creative, but a lot of times you see that these very creative people do have suffering some mental health issues, and it is what it is, and I'm glad that he has, like you said, he came forward, and he's not hiding in the dark, basically, and suffering in silence because
because though the mental health issues are easily the most invisible, you don't see it. Like how many posts do you see about the faces of suicide, and it's always it's Chester Bennington with a big smile on his face. It's that sort of thing.
As far as Linkin Park goes, I found out like my daughter's a huge Linkin Park fan now.
Really? Oh, well, that's cool. I was gonna say I didn't think she always was. Yeah, that's true. God, we're old.
Speaking of films about rock and metal, this is a movie that came out a while back called Rockstar, and one of the websites posed a question: is Rockstar the worst film about rock and metal? Have you seen Rockstar?
I live under a rock with movies. I haven't seen it.
Okay, Rockstar is a fictional account of Tim Ripper Owens joining Judas Priest. They kind of took the story of Tim Ripper Owens joining Judas Priest after Rob Halford left, and they fictionalized it, and they made the movie Rockstar, starring Mark Wahlberg, Zach Wilde's in it too, and a bunch of other musicians. But it's not a great movie for a lot of reasons. Now, I think it was like louder.com or something was asked a question. I posted it on our page, and I got some people talking back and forth. Some people love this movie. Me, I like it for what it is, but it could have been so much better. I don't think it's the worst movie about rock and metal. But the major problem with the movie is like it's an uneven tone. Sometimes everything's played for like kicks and laughs and stuff, and it doesn't take the source material seriously. I mean, it's based in like the end of the '80s, still the glam metal movement, and the main character sings in a tribute band to this fictional band called Steel Panther. No, Steel Dragon. I'm sorry, Steel Panther's a real
Steel
band.
Panther's a real band. I was gonna say.
Steel Dragon. Steel Dragon is supposed to be like a Judas Priest type band.
Okay.
And so, they find the singer in a bar. They videotape him in a bar, and they send the tape in, and the band comes looking for him, and they take him from his his shitty tribute band, and they make him this big star. And it's about stardom. And in the end, he ends up moving to Seattle, wearing a flannel and playing acoustic guitar. That's where he's more happy. And it's just whatever. But the movie itself, the story could be a lot better, I think. It's a little too silly for me. Like I even said, like in the hands of a really good director, like maybe like Cameron Crowe, who did Almost Famous, or like even P.T. Anderson, who did Boogie Nights. Like a vibe like that. Boogie Nights is a cheesy movie. Yes, it's kind of cheesy, but in a way it's not, because all the performers are playing it straight. They don't play it broad. The actors there are playing it like it's a real dramatic thing. There is Boogie Nights is silly, yes, because I mean it's ludicrous, but the way it comes across, like there's a lot of darkness in that movie. I mean, it's about the porn industry, but someone like that, a director like that, could have taken this story more seriously, and it would have been a better movie. That's all I gotta say about that.
I'm sure you're not the only one who feels that way.
I don't know, man. In the post I put up there, I think I'm the only one that feels that way. Everyone else is either like, I love that fucking movie, or they're like, nah, that movie's shit. I'm like, no, it's not. I watch it, I enjoy it. You should watch it too. The music in it's really good.
Okay.
The music in it's really, really, really good. A lot of it's written by the band, the singer from the band Steelheart, who has this crazy, crazy vocal range. It's good stuff, and there's a lot of good parts. There's a lot to like about it, but there's a lot of it was like, you have to, you gotta like make it cheesy, because when it was made, the 80s were still looked at as this cheesy era to be made fun of, and not like,
By the time where anything serious happened.
Yeah, or enjoy the source for what it is. Yeah, okay, our hair was huge. So what? Everyone wore bell bottoms in the 70s. It's like that's just what it was. Like I said, I like this movie. I like it, but it could have been so much. That's what makes me mad about it, because it could have been better. It could have been this.
It could have been like cult masterpiece kind of thing.
Yeah, just look back into what the 1980s rock scene actually was. There hasn't been a movie made about that yet. Even Motley Crue, The Dirt didn't do it well enough, and I think that's a whole other discussion. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on movies based on bands, because I love band movies. I love watching them. I just watched again That Thing You Do. I just watched it again the other day. You haven't seen that either?
No. I can't even think of a movie about a band off the top of my head. I don't watch movies. I'm not a movie guy.
I don't care. Watch them anyway.
Oh.
At least have you watched Whiplash?
No, I have not seen Whiplash either.
Drummer. Oh my God.
Whiplash is on my list, though. I do want to see that movie.
Wow. That Thing You Do is okay. I'm gonna have to make you a list, and I should make you a list. And we'll come back in 6 months, and we'll do a podcast about all the movies on the list.
That'll be cool. Give me a chance to actually watch them, because I will. But
I wouldn't be like, here, go watch 7 movies the next week. No, we'd have to plan this out for like after the new year. It'll be like, here, there's like 3 or 4 movies for you to watch. So yeah, you got That Thing You Do was a fantastic movie about forming a rock band, and succeeding, and that's based like in the I believe like the late 60s. So it's like a simpler time, but it's a great movie.
Is it like rock and roll focused or?
Oh yeah, That Thing You Do is about a rock band.
Okay.
And the guy who wrote all the songs in it he just passed away from COVID. The guy from Fountains of Wayne that wrote Stacy's Mom. Yeah, he wrote all the music in it. That was another thing. Like that guy was a lot better of a musician than people give him credit for. People remember him from Stacy's Mom, but the Fountains of Wayne guy, I can't remember his name. He did a lot more than that. Even Rockstar would be a good one to watch. Even Motley Crue, The Dirt. That's on. I think that's a Netflix movie.
Yeah, especially if it's streaming on something, that would be even easier for me because we have all.
Oh yeah. I mean, then there's comics, Spinal Tap. You've never seen Spinal Tap?
Spinal Tap.
Yeah, that's a classic. There's
I know some of the quotes from it just from being a rock musician my whole
life.
But,
yeah.
Yeah,
there's a British one called Bad News, which is like the British version of Spinal Tap, which I think is even funnier. I mean, I could go on and on. There's a lot of them. Light of Day. Still Crazy. The Commitment.
Half of these.
Yeah. The Commitment is a good one. Okay. I'm just throwing out these movies. Even the biopics like the Bohemian Rhapsody, the one about Queen. Have you seen that one?
Nope.
Shit, man, that's a good one. That's good.
I heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not really a big Queen fan though, honestly. They're not my favorite.
Don't have to be. You don't really have to be. Like it's just a good movie.
Okay.
It's not completely accurate, but what is.
Oh, it's a movie. It shouldn't have to be. It's gonna be Hollywoodized a little bit.
It is a little bit. It is Hollywoodized just a little bit. But not too much.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, I think with the Queen movie, I think it's like the timeline's a little messed up. I think people like nitpicked it and stuff. But
you got a hardcore fan base that are gonna feel that way about it.
And there was arguments, and there's arguments in the movie that are totally just like that never happened. Freddie Mercury never left Queen. They never argued, and stuff like that. It was
they had to create drama and stir the pot somehow.
Right. But other than that, that's like as far as the movies that came out recently about music and rock bands, that one's probably the best. Yeah, that's really good. Then there's also Z-Rock, the TV show that was on the IFC. That was a TV show about a rock band who at night played in bars, but their day job was playing kids parties. They were kids musicians. That's on YouTube. Joey Casada, the drummer, he put it up on his YouTube page, like the entire series. That's fantastic. That's funny. That's really good. It's pretty dirty too. There was another one too called The Wedding Band that lasted like a half a season on TBS. This is going back probably about 8 years, and it was about a wedding band, and we actually took a couple of their covers because they would take pop songs and they would rock them up in each episode because that's what they had to learn for these weddings. They're a wedding band, and that one was a little bit sillier than Z-Rock, but I liked it for what it was. So yeah, there's a lot of I can't believe I'm spending so much time on this, but I really like movies about musicians and stuff, and bands. So
yeah, well, like you said, we'll have to make an episode where we talk about it after I've seen a couple of these, and I can have something interesting.
Yeah, you got some catching up.
Instead of I haven't seen that. I've never heard of that. I live under a rock.
That's okay. Okay, Hey, listen, taking 2 hours out of your day to sit down and watch a movie is that's a lot. I understand that because
it's a commitment.
It is. Just like that movie, The Commitments. About a band. They play Mustang Sally in that one. Well, you know what? That's pretty much all I got from our Rock Talk group to talk about. What do you got?
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I'd want to mention as well, speaking of like anniversaries and stuff, this is also the anniversary of the esteemed Rust in Peace by Megadeth. Apparently on September 24th, that was dropped in 1990. Something about awesome albums and stuff coming out in September. I don't get it. They like wait till all the kids go back to school and they just crank out amazing records. I don't know what these bands are all about. But yeah, on this day in 1990, fourth studio album by Megadeth, Rust in Peace, was released. And to celebrate, a couple days ago, our friend Mr. Balzac shared an amazing post that has that artwork, but it's just so badly tainted where the more you look at it, the worse it gets. Where The band is Metallica. And Jeff, you're going to have to edit in so people can see this meme image.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
absolutely hysterical. The album name is changed to Vulgar Display of Power. And they changed the guy's face so that it's Eddie. And it's like,
Yeah.
the more you look at it, the worse it gets. And I absolutely love it. It's
And down the
hysterical.
bottom it says, "My favorite tune from that album is Breaking the Law."
Yes. Oh, it's the ultimate amount of trolling. I love it to pieces. But I mean, the actual album, Rust in Peace. We've talked about this several times. Whether it was I think I had it for homework one week, or I just mentioned it because I got really into it a couple months ago, and
You never did a full review on it. We were just talking about when we talked about the best thrash albums, and we talked about thrash.
That's what it was. That's what I'm thinking. We brought on Jeremy. We talked about thrash. Yeah. And I've listened to it several times since. I'm really getting into Megadeth because I'm not really a thrash guy, but like that album blew me away. And then one of my assignments, you gave me what was the most recent before? Didn't they just put a new one out? Yeah.
No, the new one's coming soon.
No, that's what it is. Okay. Yeah, so the newest one that is out as of today. We did a review on that a couple weeks back, and I remember really digging that. I listened to it I revisited it once or twice since, and it was every time it's like, "Oh my god, this Dave Mustaine is just one of the best. He's really cool." So I wonder what he would say about if he saw this trollish disfigurement of his artwork from his album.
I don't know, he'd probably snarl, put his lip up, and go, "Nah."
Yeah, hopefully he's laughing his ass off and not too salty about it. But
this album, though, Rust in Peace, it's
definitely something special.
That's my favorite thrash album. And my favorite album by Megadeth by far.
Yeah.
They have a lot of excellent albums, but this one, if I could throw it on any time at any part. There's not a bad note on this album, man. I absolutely love it from beginning to end.
It's one of those like borderline mythical perfect rock albums of all time. Like it really has it has all of the elements in its favor. It's drum grooves, it's tempi, it's textures, it's vocals, it's aesthetic, it's mood, it's length. It's one of those, it's like a solid hour where like it feels meaty and substantial, but it doesn't feel over drawn out, and it doesn't ramble. Every second is well spent, and it's all just fantastic music and fantastic writing and just fantastic musicianship across the board. Easily a 12 out of 10. It's like better than the best.
I agree totally, wholeheartely.
Yeah, so Rust in Peace came out in September, just like Senjutsu, just like so many other great albums. Oh, and apparently, speaking of that could segue us in. We could talk about our homework, where we talk about The Chemical Wedding, which also dropped in September of 1998. Right. Apparently.
That's right. We'll talk about that in our homework assignment.
Yeah, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
I guess that's about it then. So, like we always say, subscribe to our YouTube channel, join the Rock Talk with DocRocker Facebook group, and talk metal.
And check out all these posts by all of our friends. It's not just me and Jeff. We have so many people that are active in this community, and we have between people that are coming on as guests for our show or just posting awesome news and content, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all on the Facebook group, and you're welcome to join it and check it out for yourself. So please do so, and let us know if you want us to talk about anything in particular.
Awesome. One more thing before we go, though. I got a message today from Evil G. He just said, "Dude, it exists. Vegan death grindcore." He sent me a link, and I'm going to send it to you.
Please send me that, because I want to hear that.